Jiang Yunshang, who had never seen her husband before, was a widow. She worked hard all her life and endured humiliation to protect the entire Lu family from being trampled upon. She led them from defeat to rise again, becoming an unparalleled big family. But it wasn't until she was about to die that she realized it was all a scam. Her grandiose young lady was calculated to be a stepping stone in the happiness of others, and even compensated for her entire family. Jiang Yunshang died without closing his eyes, completing 10 lifetimes of missions in exchange for the opportunity to be reborn and seek revenge. Reborn again, she returned with all her skills. This time, she was definitely deceived. Those who calculated her were better off than dead, let them taste the feeling of being calculated. Just that person, isn't it the one with immense power? Even if you stomp your foot, the world will tremble with you. I arrived at her place but became a spoiled monster who wanted to kiss and hug, jealous and rolling. The contrast is a bit big. Keywords of the novel. After being reborn as a widow, the Regent ascends to become my husband without a pop-up window. After being reborn as a widow, the Regent ascends to become my husband. Download the complete text. After being reborn as a widow, the Regent ascends to become my husband. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. It is more appropriate for her to go. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. It is more appropriate for her to go, Yunshang. To be honest, I have something to ask you for today. Mrs. Lu drank several cups of tea in Jiang Yunshang's room, kept her head down, and hesitated for a long time before finally speaking about her purpose. Since Yunshang has married into the Lu family, we are one family. If my mother has something to say, let's be frank. The use of the word beg really makes my daughter-in-law unable to bear it. Jiang Yunshang smiled slightly and answered with a very gentle tone. Upon hearing her words, Mrs. Lu let out a deep sigh and showed a guilty expression, saying, "Seeing you like this, I really feel guilty in my heart. If it weren't for how your father and younger brother are now, my mother wouldn't be able to say that, now, our Lu family is now in dire straits. You have just entered the house, and young heir. Alas, you shouldn't have suffered like this. It's because our Lu family owes you. I can't say that, but the Lu family can't live without your father and your second brother." Mrs. Lu kept sighing and her eyes filled with guilt. If it weren't for the sudden change in tone later on, Jiang Yunshang would have thought she had truly realized her conscience and felt a bit guilty. But this idea hasn't lasted for a sip of tea yet, and she ruined that impression with just one sentence. "I heard that the Regent has a strange hobby and really likes women with delicate and fair hands. Seeing the delicate and fair hands of Yunshang, why don't you come and try the rumor to see if it's true? You can also plead for a relationship between your father and younger brother." Mrs. Lu put down her teacup and took Jiang Yunshang's hand, finally saying those words. Upon hearing these familiar words, Jiang Yunshang's thoughts returned to the previous life. Back then, when the Lu family went to propose marriage to the Jiang family was truly filled with joy. After all, a business without official status, no matter how famous it is in the mall, would not be valued outside. It is a great honor for the Jiang family to be able to get involved in the marriage of the Lu family. Therefore, they didn't pay much attention to the reasons behind it, even though the Lu family urgently set a date for marriage, and the Jiang family didn't think too much and agreed to the marriage. But I never expected that on the day she married into the Lu family, she received news of the death of her husband, Lu Mingyang, whom she had never met before. Immediately after, the general's mansion, which had just sacrificed its eldest son to save the crown prince, was found to have an affair with corrupt official Chiu Taisher and had his family stolen. As the head of the family, General Lu and his 2 sons were arrested. At that time, she was so foolish. Although she was reluctant before getting married, she had already joined the Lu family and did her part as a daughter-in-law. For the sake of the Lu family, she spared no effort to bear the blame and sought the regent's leniency in overthrowing the Lu family. Opening a shop took on the responsibility of revitalizing the entire Lu family, gradually bringing a dilapidated Lu family back to its heyday. But in the end, just a month before her death, she realized that all of this turned out to be a scam. Marriage proposals, dowries, financial support for the Jiang family, and the death of their husband are all scams. Is this okay? My daughter. Law has no interaction with the people in the court. I heard that the regent's personality is very strange. If it doesn't work out, I'm afraid it will bring more trouble to the Lu family. Retrieving his thoughts, Jiang Yunshang was clearly puzzled by Mrs. Lu's words, frowning and sighing. Ah, it would be great if my husband were alive, Jiang Yunshang added after sighing. Mrs. Lu originally wanted to teach her how not to provoke Feng Yi, but upon hearing her words, her face turned pale and she cautiously replied, "Why did Yunshang suddenly mention Younger?" "Oh, my daughter-in-law just feels that I am also a recognized daughter-in-law at the beginning of the Lu family. My husband has just left, and if he goes to meet an unmarried man without any hesitation, it is really inappropriate. It is easy to attract gossip for the Lu family and damage their face." Jiang Yunshang sighed deeply before reluctantly explaining with a smile. The old lady heard her words and knew that she probably didn't know the truth. She breathed a sigh of relief and said, "My mother also knows that you are in trouble. It's because young heir is unlucky, and our Lu family owes you. But now that the Lu family is in trouble, this is also the next solution that my mother can think of. I have truly wronged you. My mother will definitely love you even more in the future. You are my own daughter." Mrs. Lu's tears welled up in her eyes as she gently pulled her hand and hugged her shoulder, looking sincere and genuine. That is to say, Jiang Yunshang was deeply moved by these words in the previous life, making her foolishly lose her entire life and even risking the lives of her entire family. The harm caused her to perform 10 lifetimes of missions after death to compensate for her intelligence, in order to have the opportunity to be reborn and make up for her mistakes. Mother, I think it would be more appropriate for you to go. With your former first-class wife status, as well as your father, husband, and second brother's numerous achievements, the regent should also save some face. Besides, my mother used to be the most beautiful woman in Shingen, but now with the accumulation of time, she has become more mature and charming. We, the younger generation, are also ashamed of ourselves in front of you." Jiang Yunshang opened Mrs. Lu's hand, looked up at her face, and suddenly said these words. This statement did not make Mrs. Lu feel any pride of being praised, only felt extremely ashamed. She is an elder, and her son is even older than Regent Wang Fengyi. It can be said that she saw Fengyi grow up, but Jiang Yunshang asked her to use her beauty to please others, which is such a shame. Don't make things difficult, isn't that all for the Lu family? Jiang Yunshang added as she clenched her fist in shame, but had to force a smile because she wanted something from her. However, when it came to this, she gave way and after some thought, she said, "If you can't save face with your identity, why not let your second younger brother's wife go? She is also beautiful and famous, and only recently gained the love of her second younger brother. Moreover, her background is better than her daughter-in-law, and she is still a niece of a national teacher. She can speak to the court to some extent. My daughter-in-law's hands are not inferior to hers, and she has been gentle and charming in her life. Her eyes and lips are charming and charming everywhere. As a woman, I cannot move my eyes. Who can refuse such a beautiful woman?" Listening to Jiang Yunshang's analysis of them, Mrs. Lu's fists were clenched and bleeding. But with a smile on her face, she tried to conceal her anger and said, "Yunshang, it's not that I've never thought about it, nor is it that I'm biased towards my second wife. It's really that she's having a lot of joy and inconvenience right now, and precisely because she's a niece of a national teacher, she needs to avoid suspicion. It's all because of my mother's incompetence. I can't protect you, nor can I save the head of the Lu family. Maintaining the only continuation of the Lu family's current reputation is my last bit of selfishness." As Mrs. Lu spoke, she began to howl, crying uncontrollably. It looked really heartbreaking. But her Lu family's bloodline has nothing to do with her Jiang Yunshang. Mom, please don't do this, my daughter.in.law will agree with you. Jiang Yunshang finally agreed to go find Feng Yi. At the moment, she couldn't force the Lu family to hurry. She needed to first find the account of the money that the Lu family had invested in the Jiang family. It's the accounts of corruption and bribery in the Lu family, as well as the accounts of transferring money. Only in this way can the Jiang family escape unscathed. Sure enough, Yunshang is still the most sensible. Can you spare some more silver for your mother? She wants to go and offer incense tomorrow, add some incense money, and pray for blessings for our Lu family. Mrs. Lu really took advantage of everything and begged her to go see Feng Yi and ask her to give her money to go out. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. What a beautiful place. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. What a beautiful place. Okay, how much does Mom want? Jiang Yunshang said as he really stood up and went to get 300 taels of silver notes for her. Seeing Mrs. Lu happily leave, Jiang Yunshang showed a sneer of hatred. A quiet night passed, and the next morning, when Jiang Yunshang woke up, Mrs. Lu had already gone out. Jiang Yunshang and Xiao Yun were originally going to Feng Yi Prince's mansion, but on the way, they collided with officials and soldiers and were blocked. Isn't this the Lin family? Are these officers and soldiers raiding their homes? Miss, why don't we take a detour? Xiao Yun poked his head out of the carriage window and glanced out, not only frowning. Jiang Yunshang quickly leaned over to the window and glanced out when she heard that she was plagiarizing her family. However, a group of people were escorted out, and the person walking at the forefront was the head of the Lin family, Lin Liangmao. Prince, Dad must have been wronged. Please investigate carefully. Just as Jiang Yunshang was looking forward, she happened to see Lin Miaomiao kneeling in front of Feng Yi, kowtowing and pleading with him. Driver, turn around and go to Jichuanzhai. Jiang Yunshang casually lowered the curtain and gave the driver a command. Miss, aren't you going to the Regent's mansion? Why did you suddenly switch to another place? Xiao Yun is not good at observing her words and expressions. She didn't see that her emotions were not right, so she asked like this. Didn't you see the crime of plagiarism over there? Jiang Yunshang replied to her lightly, then whispered to himself, it's unlucky. Oh, Xiao Yun finally realized that she seemed to be in a bad mood. She wanted to lift the curtain again to see the reason, but at this moment, a gust of wind blew in, causing her to lose her sight. The sound of the carriage caused Feng Yi to turn around, and at the same time, the carriage turned around, and the curtains behind were also blown up. In order to avoid the harsh wind, Jiang Yunshang had to raise her hand and cover it with her sleeve. At the stall where she blocked her face with her hand, it seemed like she saw Feng Yi looking towards this side, but when she took it away, the wind had passed and the curtain of the carriage had already fallen. Shopkeeper, why are there always unclear accounts in the store lately? Jiang Yunshang looked at the accounts of Jichuanzhai and found that there were also several unclear accounts, just like other stores. Madam Hui, the accounting statistics have always been done by Mr. Zhu. We only keep track of the daily profits and losses, and Mr. Zhu personally handles the account transfers. Only the prepared account books are returned to us every month. The shopkeeper also came over to take a look, but couldn't retrieve the 2 unclear accounts added. The accounts are not big, but the impact of always falsifying them is also not good. Miss, do you think Mr. Zhu may have cheated and embezzled this money from it? When returning from the store, Xiao Yun saw that Jiang Yunshang had been silent all along, thinking that she couldn't figure out the reason for the unclear account, so he asked. Xiao Yun, did your mother say yesterday that she wanted to go for incense? Jiang Yunshang suddenly looked up, which startled Xiao Yun. For some reason, she always felt that her young lady had been a bit strange lately. Let's go pick up the old lady and go home, Jiang Yunshang said to the coachman before Xiao Yun could recover. Xiao Yun didn't think much, because Jiang Yunshang has always respected the elderly, but as the carriage walked forward for a while, Yuner felt something was wrong. Because she found that the carriages had left the city, and the mountain road ahead was becoming increasingly difficult to walk. "Miss, did the coachman walk the wrong way? We've been out of the city for a long time and haven't seen the temple." "On the contrary, the mountain road is getting steeper and steeper." Watching the sky gradually getting late and the carriage not yet reaching the finish line, Yuner became a bit anxious. "Stay overnight in the village ahead and continue on your journey tomorrow morning," Jiang Yunshang said to the coachman. Upon hearing this, Xiaoyun quickly lifted the window curtain and glanced at her. Her face stiffened instantly, and she turned her head to grab her hand and said, "Miss, we're not moving forward. The village in front is called Dripwater Rock, where there are high mountains and dangerous waters. Due to the terrain, a group of mountain bandits have accumulated here." As the son of a general, Lu Mingyang followed his father on a military expedition from a young age. The emperor chose him to lead the army, and the crown prince followed him to eliminate the mountain bandits. In this game, they achieved a complete victory, but Lu Mingyang fell off a cliff after rescuing the crown prince, and when he was found, he was completely unrecognizable. He could only identify himself through his attire and accessories. When the news returned to the general's mansion, Jiang Yunshang had just finished bowing with a big rooster. The reason why the Lu family is so eager to arrange this marriage is to bring joy and blessings to this war, and wish them a successful return. The news of Lu Mingyang's death returned to the general's mansion, causing the Lu family to cry uncontrollably. Xiaoyun felt that the saddest thing should be her young lady Jiang Yunshang. After all, as a woman, she had become widowed without even meeting her husband. This was such a tragedy. So after seeing the scenery outside and knowing the name of the village, she tried her best to stop Jiang Yunshang from moving forward, fearing that she would feel uncomfortable knowing that Lu Mingyang had died here. "Where can the road go backwards?" Jiang Yunshang smiled strangely and replied to her like this. She knew what Xiaoyun was thinking in her heart, and in her past life, she also avoided this matter, which was why she never stepped onto this path for the rest of her life. Staying overnight in the village, the next day, the driver continued to follow the map provided by Jiang Yunshang and walked a long mountain road. Finally, after noon, he arrived at a canyon. Passing through the canyon, there is a unique cave inside, with flowers blooming everywhere, small bridges flowing, wooden houses and blue stone roads, making it a paradise in the world. "Miss, where is this?" Seeing Jiang Yunshang asking the coachman to stop the carriage at the entrance of the canyon, he walked all the way but still stopped outside the small courtyard, and asked in confusion. Before Jiang Yunshang could even speak, she saw Mrs. Lu being held by a woman, walking along a blue stone road, leisurely admiring flowers in a sea of flowers. "Old lady! How could she be here?" Xiaoyun almost exclaimed in surprise. And then, a man ran out of the room, holding 2 cloaks in his hand, chasing after Mrs. Lu and the woman to put them on. "Mother, Xin, it's a bit cold in the mountains. Don't wear too thin, be careful not to catch a cold," she said. "Okay, Younger, Xin is now happy with you. Since you have made a choice, my mother only wants you to have a smooth life. Now that your father and second brother are still in prison, I don't know if Jiang Yunshang has begged Feng Yi. My mother can't stay here for long. Younger, you need to take good care of Xin and the child." The old lady reached out to grab the cloak, tied it up, and then gave the man some advice. Xiaoyun had already looked dumbfounded. She only knew that the old lady was in charge of her uncle, Younger. Isn't it that the person in front of her was her uncle? But how could that be? I heard he fell into a cliff that day, so many people watched. Can he fake it? Mother, did Jiang Yunshang ever discover anything? At this moment, Lu Mingyang asked Mrs. Lu another question. You can rest assured that this woman has nothing but skin and little brain. Apart from her charming appearance, it may still be useful for us to make use of. The rest is of no use. The mother and son were chatting recklessly, without realizing that their conversation had been completely overheard. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 is all about strategy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 is all about strategy. Let's go back. Jiang Yunshang listened for a while, but just as Xiaoyun couldn't stop listening and wanted to rush out, she pulled Xiaoyun out. "Miss, what's going on? Uncle hasn't died yet, he still has a home outside. So what are you, Mississippi?" And at the end, he seemed to say that everything was designed by them. When the Grand Tutor was arrested, my uncle guessed that the Liu family was going to be investigated, so he deliberately requested to clear the mountain bandits and designed to save the Crown Prince, in order to make contributions and protect the Liu family. On the way back, Xiaoyun still couldn't figure it out and kept nagging beside him. And Jiang Yunshang's thoughts returned to what Mrs. Liu had said about her being foolish. In her past life, she was truly foolish. "It's just for his own selfish desires," Jiang Yunshang said unconsciously as he recalled their conversation and heard Xiaoyun mention that they were going out. What? Xiaoyun didn't understand or comprehend, but Jiang Yunshang didn't agree. Her thoughts had already returned to her past life. If it were really designed for their Liu family, the one with precise budget was still Liu Mingyang's father, Liu Hengfeng. After the Grand Tutor was arrested, he quickly betrothed to both the Jiang family and the Xiang family. On the one hand, he used the Jiang family's help to transfer property, and on the other hand, he used the Xiang family to have the national teacher destroy the evidence of his corruption held in someone else's hands for him. On the contrary, it was Liu Mingyang who designed to save the Crown Prince, but fell off a cliff and disrupted his plan. He had to design to conceal Liu Mingyang's death while quickly offering a dowry to the Jiang family, allowing Jiang Yunshang to marry into the Liu family. Then, using the Jiang family, 90% of his property was transferred to him, while Xiang family also helped him destroy a large amount of evidence. But in the end, he used it all up, but with the help of the martial arts world, he wiped out the Jiang family completely, making Jiang Yunshang a complete slave to their Liu family. "I worked hard for a lifetime without my own children and relatives, and even brought my enemy's family to its peak, and all the wealth I earned through hard work was inherited by my enemy. It's all a strategy." For a long time, Jiang Yunshang sneered, as if responding to Xiaoyun, or as if saying something to himself. "Madame De has returned, Madame Eyre is not feeling well. Can you help to take a look? The old lady's whereabouts are also unknown." No one at home can make a decision when Jiang Yunshang returned to the Liu family. The servants in the second courtyard of the Liu family rushed to find her in a panic, saying that the second wife Xiang Bingyan was not feeling well. Although she is just as innocent as her, she was born into an official family. Although the Liu family took advantage of her, they took good care of her and truly enjoyed the treatment of the young lady throughout her life. And the second son of the Liu family also had a deep affection for her, and the two of them respected each other like guests for a lifetime. In the end, she was also a descendant, enjoying the blessings of 4 generations living together. And the descendants also gained the right to inherit Jiang Yunshang's family business. So the only truly pitiful one is Jiang Yunshang, so why should she worry about whether Xiang Bingyan is uncomfortable or not? What's the rush? You're in a panic, there's not a hint of a general's palace maid. Jiang Yunshang spoke calmly in a calm tone. After a moment of silence, he said again, "Give this medicine to your second young lady to take. She is just anxious about her second young master's matter, and coupled with pregnancy reactions, stew her some light soup to drink. There will be someone to handle the matter of the second young master, let her calm down and take care of the baby with peace of mind." Jiang Yunshang still helped Xiang Bingyan. After all, she had not harmed her, and there were still many things to do in the future that she could help. "Miss, why do you care about the Liu family when they treat you so badly?" Xiaoyun looked puzzled. Jiang Yunshang felt a little worried when she saw Xiaoyun's uncontrollable anger. Would she know too much? "Xiaoyun, from now on, you should speak less. Remember that you have never seen or heard of anything there. Thinking of those issues, Jiang Yunshang specifically reminded Xiao Yun. But Xiao Yun still couldn't accept it. After all, she was too angry knowing the truth. But seeing Jiang Yunshang's gaze, she could only restrain her anger. Besides, I believe her young lady would not let people bully her like this. Help me find Mr. Zhu and say I have something to talk to him about. Returning to the room, Jiang Yunshang took only one sip of a cup of tea and then arranged things for Xiao Yun. Xiao Yun was somewhat emotional when she heard her asking her to call Zhu Qijuan. She angrily said, "Yes, call Mr. Zhu and ask him to calculate how much money those shops have. Transfer all the withdrawals to us, and then we'll go back." Go back? Married daughter, where are you going back? Jiang Yunshang sneered and asked Xiao Yun in reverse, then said, "Besides, are you willing to go back now?" "Miss, what do you mean?" Upon hearing Jiang Yunshang's words, Xiao Yun seemed to understand something and not only widened his eyes with suspicion. "Anyway, from now on, just do as I say." Jiang Yunshang didn't say anything much, just let her obey her arrangements from now on. Mrs. Lu has already passed 3 days, during which Jiang Yunshang has done many things, taking away all the cash from the stores and limiting the expenses of the Lu family. When Mrs. Lu returned, she was looking at the top 10 commercial places in Anqing recently. "Miss," Zhou said, "the old lady has something to ask you to come over." While Jiang Yunshang was busy, Xiao Yun came in and reported that it was Mrs. Lu's maid waiting outside. "Oh, wait until I'm done with it." Jiang Yunshang casually responded without getting up. The maid outside was a bit anxious when she heard her words. Just as she was about to enter the room and get angry with her, Mrs. Lu rushed over and grabbed her. "Madam, you've been on your way and just arrived home. Why did you personally go there?" The maid saw Mrs. Lu coming over and quickly welcomed her, asking a pleasing question. "Oh, Yunshang is also quite busy, and I can't help her either. Just walking a few steps is nothing." Mrs. Lu's words moved the maids next to her to tears. "Your indulgence towards the young lady will surely make her even more arrogant and disrespectful of the old lady." Upon hearing Mrs. Lu's words, the maid began to feel somewhat dissatisfied with Jiang Yunshang's lack of face. She is also for the sake of the Lu family. The eldest young master is no longer here. Her daughter's family could have lived a carefree life, but now she has to start our fragmented family, which is really not easy. Mrs. Lu took the maid's hand and deliberately spoke in a loud voice. The words were meant for Jiang Yunshang to listen to. Jiang Yunshang in the room gave a cold expression and only tidied up his things for Xiao Yun to put them away. He got up and went into the room. "Madam, the young lady has just returned from work and said that she is rushing home. She is afraid that bringing back the smell of dirt outside will harm Madam's health, so she went inside to change clothes. Madam is afraid that she will have to wait a little longer." After waiting for Mrs. Lu to enter the room, Xiao Yun bowed and sat down with her, pouring a cup of tea. But Jiang Yunshang waited until she finished drinking this cup of tea and was anxious before coming out. "Mother, why don't you rest well when you're on your way out to the incense market? But you're so eager to see Yunshang." Jiang Yunshang came out of the room with a frightened expression and quickly came over to greet the old lady. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Long time no see. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Long time no see. Listen to what you said. Yunshang is working so hard for the Lu family. Isn't it right for you to come and see? Mrs. Lu's words were very touching, but Jiang Yunshang only felt a wave of nausea. She didn't show any signs, but smiled and said, "Since Yunshang has already married into the Lu family and is a member of the Lu family, isn't it appropriate to put in some effort for her own family? You are such a good child. The Lu family owes you a lifetime of debt." Mrs. Lu was not in a hurry this time, not busy asking anything else, but slowly grinding away her gossip, wanting to move Jiang Yunshang. However, nowadays Jiang Yunshang can no longer appreciate her acting skills. As for what the Lu family owes her, she still needs to slowly recover it. What she owes must be repaid. How can she not know without a clear sentence? Yunshang, have you been too busy these days and forgotten about what your mother discussed with you that day? After talking so much idle talk, Mrs. Lu finally got to the point. However, Jiang Yunshang had a bewildered expression and even tried to think for a moment before shaking her head and asking, "When did my mother say something to me?" My daughter-in-law has a stupid mind, and her memory is not very useful. I really can't remember. It's about finding the Regent Wang to intercede for your father and Yaoer. Mrs. Lu's expression was very unpleasant for a moment, but she quickly concealed her emotions and immediately smiled, saying, "I think there have been too many and chaotic things lately. Yunshang must have been too busy to forget." "No, Mississippi." Xiao Yun couldn't bear Mrs. Lu's pretentious attitude and was so angry that she wanted to say something, but was stopped by Jiang Yunshang. "Xiao Yun." Jiang Yunshang stopped her with a hint of reprimand before looking up and saying to Mrs. Lu, "My daughter-in-law really dares not forget this matter. It's just that when I went to the royal mansion that day, I happened to encounter the regent who was committing plagiarism against the Lin family. I suddenly felt unlucky, so I avoided and calculated a divination. The hexagram says, I am not suitable to ask for help these days, and it is easy to attract unfounded disasters. I think the Lu family is already quite difficult, so I want to wait for 2 days to get through this day before discussing. It turns out that's the case, but this matter cannot be delayed for long. All the people involved have been arrested and investigated. If we continue, there will be many variables." Mrs. Lu had no doubts about Jiang Yunshang's words, but she also urged her to act faster. "It seems she's starting to be anxious, it's time to take action. Miss, shouldn't we come a little later? The regent should be very busy during the day, right?" The next day, they all arrived at the entrance of the Wang mansion, but Xiao Yun turned his back on it. Looking at this solemn and magnificent royal mansion, she felt nervous in her heart. Although she has been with Jiang Yunshang for many years, she has not visited many wealthy families before, and there is a big difference between merchants and officials. Even if she has money, building a house is subject to various constraints. "Please, let me meet the prince. I really have something important to tell the prince." Just as Jiang Yunshang and his companions arrived at the entrance of the Wang mansion, they saw a young and beautiful woman kneeling at the door, seeking to see Feng Yi. "Miss, isn't that the daughter of the Lin family?" Xiao Yun immediately recognized the woman as Lin Miaomiao, the daughter of the Lin family who had been robbed of her family before. Lin Miaomiao and Jiang Yunshang have met for a long time and can be considered old acquaintances, but due to their status, their friendship is not deep. "There, is the prince someone you, as a daughter of a sinner, can meet as soon as you want?" A guard holding a long spear stood straight at the door, giving Lin Miaomiao a cold scolding without any hint of accommodation. "Miss, otherwise we should go back." Xiao Yun was already afraid, but seeing this scene made him even more afraid. Jiang Yunshang didn't pay attention to Xiao Yun's words and was still wondering why Lin Miaomiao was here. Previously, the Lin family plagiarized their home, and it was obvious that they had all been taken away. Did Feng Yi forget the old relationship, only arrested the main culprit, and released the family? "Miss, are you listening to me?" Xiao Yun was even more afraid when Jiang Yunshang ignored her, as she looked up and met the guard at the door. The sharp gaze from the other party made her tremble slightly, and the guard walked towards them. "General, the daughter of the people, Jiang Yunshang, has something to ask the regent to see. I hope you can inform me." Jiang Yunshang saluted before saying his intention to come. The guard, like Lin Miaomiao, looked at her first and was about to refuse. Jiang Yunshang took out a jade pendant and handed it to the guard. "Could you please take this and tell the prince that I have the news he wants?" Jiang Yunshang knew he wanted to see Feng Yi, and it was useless to just sell her out. What he didn't want the most was a pitiful and delicate beauty. After all, there are many women in the officialdom. Are you Jiang Yunshang, the daughter-in-law of the Lu family? Wait a moment. The guard took a look at the jade pendant and confirmed Jiang Yunshang's identity. After seeing her nod, he didn't dare to neglect her and quickly turned around to report. Jiang Yunshang. Are you the miss of the Jiang family? At this moment, Lin Miao, who was kneeling on the ground, thought of something and immediately stood up from the ground, getting close to Jiang Yunshang. Yes. Miss Lin, it's been a long time since we last saw each other. It's polite here. Jiang Yunshang smiled slightly and bowed to Lin Miao. Lin Miao quickly bowed back when she saw this. He said again, I wondered if Miss Jiang's jade pendant belongs to the regent. Jiang Yunshang couldn't answer this question easily. She smiled slightly and said, Miss Lin, your question is not quite appropriate. The thing in my hand naturally belongs to me. Sorry, I was reckless. Lin Miao also realized that she had asked too many questions. Miss Jiang, oh no, it's time to call you Mrs. Lu now. Lin Miao pondered for a moment before suddenly turning her head and saying something like this. Before Jiang Yunshang could speak, he pulled her aside and whispered, I wonder if Madame Lu has a way to take me into the royal mansion. Jiang Yunshang smiled slightly and frowned slightly, saying, I don't know if the prince can see me here. How dare I promise Miss Lin? I mean if it's for a while. Lin Miao was about to say that if Feng Yi meets her soon, let her help figure out a way, and the guard would have already come out. Along with the guard came Feng Yi's personal guard. Yi Yu. Miss Jiang, please, Prince. Yi Yu said as she scanned Jiang Yunshang. The previous guard, holding a jade pendant in his hand, quickly came over and politely handed it back to Jiang Yunshang, then quickly moved aside. Madame Lu. Lin Miao saw that Jiang Yunshang had indeed been received and immediately ran over, grabbing her hand. But just as she was about to speak excitedly, the night moon interrupted her. Miss Jiang, the prince's time is precious. If you want to see him, hurry up and don't entangle yourself with outsiders and miss the time. Night moon stood cold on the side, not looking directly at Lin Miao, so she urged Jiang Yunshang once. Jiang Yunshang naturally knew Lin Miao's purpose, but she was still busy with her own affairs and didn't neglect the troubles of others. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Someone seeks to see outside. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Someone seeks to see outside. Miss Lin, after meeting the prince, I will try my best to find opportunities to mention you. In order to get rid of Lin Miao, Jiang Yunshang comforted and said this sentence. But if Lin Miao knew that a word from her would make her suffer forever, she probably wouldn't beg her anymore. Of course, Jiang Yunshang, who has been reborn, will never follow the old path. She will try to avoid other people's affairs as much as possible. She only wants to recover her debts and does not want to harm unrelated people. Prince, Madame Lu has brought it. Although Jiang Yunshang followed Yi Yu all the way, he was also familiar with the royal mansion and didn't have much curiosity. As he walked all the way to the house, Yi Yu let him know and quickly exited the door, pulling it shut. Feng Yi stood behind the desk with her back facing away, her hands behind her back, unaware of her emotions. I have seen the prince. After standing for a while, Jiang Yunshang bowed to him. How did you meet me for the first time? And since you are the young lady of the Lu family, it is inappropriate to call yourself a servant. Feng Yi turned around calmly as she spoke, without mentioning the jade pendant or explaining why it was all a request to see her. However, she was only willing to see her, and instead made some mistakes or omissions in her words. Please forgive me, Lord. Yunshang is just a commoner woman and really doesn't understand the etiquette of the officialdom. Jiang Yunshang bowed slightly, his voice soft and cautious as he returned. Tell me, why do you insist on meeting this king? Feng Yi didn't hesitate to ask about the purpose of her trip. Jiang Yunshang pondered for a moment before saying directly, "To be honest, Yunshang came for the Lu family father and son, who are my father-in-law and second uncle." Yunshang wanted to ask the prince to open up and let them have a way out. "Why do you think this king will agree to your request?" Feng Yi slowly walked up to Jiang Yunshang's side and then asked indifferently. Everything was expected, but Jiang Yunshang remained calm and did not take the same measures as in his previous life. Instead, he politely said, "I believe the prince must have also recognized the jade pendant, so that he can take some time out of his busy schedule to meet the common women. If the daughter of the people said, the daughter of the people knows where the prince wants to see, can this news save the father and son of the Lu family? Even if the father and son of the Lu family come out now, they no longer have real power. The ancestors of the Lu family have made great contributions, and the current emperor is very fond of old relationships. It would be better for the prince to act as a favor and give it to the emperor. In the future, the common women will do their best to repay the favor of the prince." Jiang Yunshang lowered her head slightly, her tone soft and calm, but she couldn't tell that she was a folk amateur. In fact, this is also the real reason why she came here. The Lu family still needs to let them live, after all, dying like this is too cheap. Secondly, although Feng Yi was the regent, he occasionally had to leave some thin noodles for the puppet emperor, as he had to convince all civil and military officials. Her plea was like giving him a step down, so that even the Lu family would avoid him from afar. In addition, in the eyes of the courtiers, Lu Hengfeng had made numerous military achievements, and Feng Yi could spare him a moment. Even if he returned home to retire, other ministers would obediently submit. "Do your best. What can you do for me? How can you be certain that the people you can find are what I want to see?" Feng Yi's face was emotionless, her eyes slightly cold, and she slowly asked a few questions. He is not someone who likes to be guessed by others, and he hates people using what he cares about to blackmail him. Jiang Yunshang understands all these things, but if he doesn't hold what he wants, how should he stand in front of him and negotiate terms with him? The daughter of the commoner is not threatening the prince, she is just here to convey information to the prince. By the way, she requests the prince to help the Lu family overcome this difficulty. The daughter of the commoner can follow the prince's instructions. In order not to provoke him, Jiang Yunshang quickly added these words. After finishing his words, he looked up again and met his deep, pitch-black eyes, his coldness fading away. He continued, "Also, the Empress Dowager has entrusted someone to find a Guanyin jade carving as a gift for her son. The commoner will soon have someone send it to the palace. Dispose of it with my king." Feng Yi asked coldly and suddenly stepped forward to grab her hand. His movements were too sudden. Jiang Yunshang had originally intended to avoid them, but instead of avoiding them, he grabbed her and raised her hand. Jiang Yunshang also understood. He just wanted to see the tattoo on her wrist. To be precise, it was originally a scar. Later, to cover up the ugly scar, her master stabbed her into a butterfly. "Prince, someone is asking to see you outside." At this moment, Yi Yu said another sentence at the door, breaking the atmosphere inside the room. "Didn't you see me talking to someone about something?" Feng Yi was a bit unhappy. After returning to the night moon, he put down Jiang Yunshang's hand and waved to signal her to leave. "What the prince promised me. Jiang Yunshang's trip cannot be in vain." Despite seeing Feng Yi in a bad mood today, she still has no intention of giving up. "When did I promise you something?" Feng Yi looked up, her eyes fixed on her, and there was a faint smile on her face. "A month later, it will be the annual hunting day of the royal family and nobles. If I help the prince gather enough silver for the event, can the prince consider getting rid of the Lu family easily?" Jiang Yunshang quickly added this condition again. How could he have done so much for him? Feng Yi looked at her tightly and asked with a slightly cold gaze. Jiang Yunshang didn't want to know who he was talking about, but every step she took now was for her next arrangements. Lu Hengfen is an old fox. He has already made the best arrangements for everything, and the current situation is the limit they can achieve. His family has been in court for several generations, and there are many relations between the court and China. Further investigation will continue, and the charges previously set will be cleared, restoring his title as a general. In his past life, it was like this. Although Feng Yi knew about his crimes, he suffered from lack of evidence and ultimately had to take real power, allowing him to receive a salary and comfortably retire. In this life, Jiang Yunshang will not let him have this opportunity again, but before that, she must first rescue them. Not only do we need to make the entire Lu family feel that she has helped a lot, but we need to show her respect. She needs to let the whole world know that she has sacrificed a lot for the Lu family, and then let everyone know how they have bullied her. When they were busy dealing with the accusations of the world, she slowly collected their evidence and exposed their hypocrisy to the world. Minu is the daughter-in-law of the Lu family, and it is her duty to contribute to the Lu family. Putting aside his thoughts, Jiang Yunshang bowed to Feng Yi again and said so. The prince is currently discussing matters with someone. Young Master Lu San, if you don't have anything urgent to attend to, why don't you come back another day? Feng Yi was looking at Jiang Yunshang inside the room, wondering what was happening when a conversation between Yi Yu and someone came from outside. Upon hearing these words, Jiang Yunshang was also instinctively surprised and turned her head to look outside. But with the doors and windows closed, she couldn't see who was coming from outside. But in the moment she turned her head, Feng Yi somehow approached her and hooked her neck. Before she could react, she kissed her and even left a bite mark on her neck when she showed a surprised expression. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Begging for her son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Begging for her son. Your proposal is very good to me. I will send you the hunting design plan in 3 days. After leaving a mark, Feng Yi took a step back and widened the distance between the two. Design plan. I mean. Jiang Yunshang originally intended to explain, but she only mentioned the money and did not suggest a plan for him. However, halfway through speaking, she noticed that Feng Yi's face was not very good, and her unfinished words were stopped. Isn't it just a plan? She can't do it herself, can't others do it without time? Okay. After some thought, Jiang Yunshang still agreed to his request. Well, you can leave now. I will arrange for someone to investigate the affairs of the Lu family. At this point, Feng Yi nodded satisfactorily, allowing her to leave. When Lu Mingqian, who had been waiting at the door for a long time, saw that Jiang Yunshang had come out of Feng Yi's house, his face immediately darkened. What are you doing here? Lu Mingqian had a stern face, and Jiang Yunshang, who came out with his back, questioned him. Third brother. Jiang Yunshang only greeted Lu Mingqian with a smile, but did not answer his questions. This made Lu Mingqian very angry. He had intended to question him again, but Yue stepped forward and urged him to meet Feng Yi as soon as possible. He had no choice but to temporarily put aside questioning Jiang Yunshang. And Xiao Yun, who was waiting at the door, became extremely anxious when he saw Lu Mingqian coming. She didn't hurry up until she saw Jiang Yunshang come out of the royal mansion. Miss, I was scared to death just now. Young Master Lu San has come over. Have you seen him? As soon as Xiao Yun saw Jiang Yunshang, he immediately came over and grabbed her hand. He anxiously shared his feelings with her and asked her if he had seen Lu Mingqian. Although your young lady is a bit clumsy, she is not blind. Can't you see such a big person? Jiang Yunshang said a few angry words to Xiao Yun, while she walked straight towards the carriage next to her. Brother Chifu, go to the jade shop ahead. As soon as he got on the carriage, Jiang Yunshang gave the coachman this command. Miss, why are you going to the jade shop? It's not that the account just came over, is everything okay? As soon as Xiao Yun heard that Jiang Yunshang was going to the jade shop, he asked in confusion. Go get something. Jiang Yunshang still replied to Xiao Yun's words. The carriage was very fast, and they arrived at the jade shop in no time. Boss, the things you need have already been prepared for you. As soon as Jiang Yunshang entered the door, the shopkeeper greeted her and politely explained this. Well, bring it over to me. Jiang Yunshang nodded slightly in agreement and then said, the shop owner will check the accounts again and see how much cash can be released. Cash. This. But when the shop owner heard that he wanted to get cash, he not only felt a bit embarrassed. Does the shop owner have any unspoken secrets? Seeing him like this, Jiang Yunshang smiled and asked. Not really, it's just that the old lady came to the store this morning and asked me to withdraw 300 to 500 taels of silver. The shopkeeper said such a thing cautiously, but he didn't finish it all at once, only saying that Mrs. Lu had come to pick up the money. Just look at Jiang Yunshang and see how she takes the next sentence. What? Did she say what to do with withdrawing so much cash? Did you give it to me? Jiang Yunshang hesitated for a moment before asking if he had given any money. I didn't give it, after all, the boss had warned that the people of the Lu family would not give money casually when they came in the future. A small question, I just want to ask Mrs. Lu if the money she took was what the boss said she wanted. The shopkeeper immediately asked again. That's not the case. I've already told you everything, and in the future, I'll personally come over or have Xiaoyun come to pick up what I need. Jiang Yunshang repeatedly reminded her of what she had said before, and then took out the things that the shopkeeper had taken out and opened the box to take a look. Miss, is this what the Empress Dowager asked you for before? Xiaoyun quickly took a closer look and found that there was actually a jade guanyin statue in the box. He remembered what the Empress Dowager had ordered before. But this little cloud is really among the younger ones. Seeing this guanyin statue, I unconsciously expressed my feelings of unease. The Empress Dowager is already of this age, and her son is now the regent. Why would she ask for a son named Guanyin? Xiaoyun got very close and was fascinated by the appearance of Guanyin. Nature is for her son's sake. After all, it was outside, and Jiang Yunshang saw that Xiaoyun was so curious, so he truthfully told her. But hasn't the regent received a concubine yet? Xiaoyun asked inexplicably. That's why we need to use something to urge him. Jiang Yunshang put away the things. In fact, she and the Empress Dowager did not meet much, and this guanyin statue was also arranged by someone. It's also because Jiang Yunshang has the largest jade shop here, so this is just a coincidence. This valuable item is just a gift. If sold, it should be able to sell for a lot of money. As he walked back in the carriage, Xiaoyun couldn't help but mutter. Don't say too much, this is on the street, not inside the store. You need to pay attention to your language. Jiang Yunshang said something to Xiaoyun and went back to her mother's house at the same time. She needs to find her brother Jiang Guanghao. Feng Yi asked her to help design their hunting event, and Jiang Guanghao has some talent in this area of design. Besides, there are many talents in the palace, but he insisted on handing them over to her, which should be just deliberately making things difficult for her. Anyway, she is still setting up a walk by the way. In fact, what they need to design is some activity arrangements, and other places are naturally arranged by people in the palace. And the factory is also pre-existing, and this year it's just a new event held on the old venue. Driver, why did you stop? Just came out of the Jiang family and on the way back, the carriage suddenly came to a stop before going too far. Feeling that the situation was not right, Jiang Yunshang called the coachman and asked. Madam, it's third young master. The coachman carefully replied to Jiang Yunshang's question. Miss, didn't third young master go to the regent's mansion? Upon hearing what the coachman said, Xiaoyun also panicked and grabbed Jiang Yunshang's hand. Didn't you also go to the regent's mansion? You've all arrived here, why is it strange for others to come? Jiang Yunshang didn't pay much attention and pulled away Xiaoyun's hand, then slowly walked down from the carriage. "Third brother, I don't know why you rushed outside to block me, but what's the urgent matter with your family?" Looking at the imposing Lu Mingqian on the other side, Jiang Yunshang smiled and asked in a warm voice. "Why are you going to the regent's mansion?" As soon as Lu Mingqian came up, he coldly asked this question. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Is also shameless. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 is also shameless. Of course there's something to do, Jiang Yunshang replied with a faint smile when he saw Lu Mingqian's expression of questioning. However, Lu Mingqian had a cold expression on his face and slowly opened his hand, with an earring in his palm that was particularly glaring. Jiang Yunshang only reached out and touched her ear, realizing that she had lost one of the earrings she had been wearing this morning. Mississippi. Xiaoyun next to her was also very anxious when she saw this earring, and quickly pulled on Jiang Yunshang. She recognized that the earrings belonged to Jiang Yunshang, but they were busy today and she didn't pay much attention to the condition on Jiang Yunshang's ears, nor did she know when she fell off. "Thank you, third brother." Jiang Yunshang didn't ask him how he got these earrings, just thanked him and reached out to get them. "Do you know where these earrings come from?" But when Lu Mingqian reached out her hand, he picked it up again and asked her so strangely. Upon hearing his words, Jiang Yunshang knew there must be a situation. But she didn't take it too seriously, just smiled slightly. "Isn't this what third brother picked up from the bed?" Jiang Yunshang asked in a joking tone. Her tone naturally made Lu Mingqian even more angry. He said to her coldly, "It was picked up from the bed, but it's not mine, it's from the regent." Upon hearing these words, Jiang Yunshang knew the reason. But Xiaoyun didn't know the situation because when she arrived at the regent's mansion, she was waiting outside and didn't go inside. So after hearing Lu Mingqian's words, Xiaoyun became even more anxious. "I see." Jiang Yunshang still had a disapproving expression, an indifferent smile, and didn't intend to explain anything. As she spoke, she reached out again with the intention of getting the earrings back. But Lu Mingqian dodged again. "You have become a married woman, so why did your earrings fall on someone else's bed? What did you do there for?" Lu Mingqian looked as if he wouldn't let go of her if he didn't get an answer, and asked aggressively. "Third brother, why are you in such a hurry? Isn't it just an earring? If you like to keep it, it's better to say that my sister.in.law will give you the other one as well. When you find the girl you like in the future, you can also give it as a token of love to others." Jiang Yunshang knew that when the earrings were in Fengyi's room before the scheduled time, he leaned in and secretly took them off. However, when faced with Lu Mingqian's accusations, she did not feel any guilt or fear. But Lu Mingqian felt very uncomfortable seeing her like this. "A married woman who engages in such shameful collusion is something that my beloved cannot afford. It's too dirty." Lu Mingqian insulted Jiang Yunshang a few words and casually threw the earrings onto the ground. Jiang Yunshang didn't mind either, but walked over calmly and picked up the earrings from the ground. "Third brother, let's not be unreasonable in our lives. Don't enjoy the benefits of being betrayed by others while also feeling disgusted by their actions. After all, there is no perfect thing in the world. Just like a flower, if you want to enjoy its beauty, you have to accept its delicacy and not be spoiled." After picking up the earrings, Jiang Yunshang said a few words calmly. At the end of the sentence, she leaned into Lu Mingqian's ear and said, "If you have any dissatisfaction, why don't you go back and ask your mother why she arranged it like this?" Lu Mingqian's face was still full of anger, but Jiang Yunshang's expression was particularly calm. When Lu Mingqian was about to say something more, he said, "This is on the street. Even if third brother cares so much about the reputation of your Lu family, he shouldn't be looking for me here. Otherwise, let's continue talking here. I don't know if it will be the Lu family or me who will be embarrassed." After hearing her words, Lu Mingqian's face turned green with anger, but he also knew that Jiang Yunshang was right. This was not the place to speak, so he had to angrily shake his sleeve and turn around angrily to leave. "Miss, what did you do to go find the regent?" "These earrings." After Lu Mingqian left, Xiaoyun also began to ask Jiang Yunshang in confusion. "Why do you think the old lady asked me to find him?" Jiang Yunshang didn't cover up or explain anything to Xiaoyun too much, but instead asked her in reverse. After hearing this, Xiaoyun grabbed Jiang Yunshang's hand with a look of heartache and said, "I thought Miss could find another way. Let's go, if we delay any longer, it will be dark." Jiang Yunshang didn't say anything, only urging Xiaoyun to quickly get on the carriage and go home. But Xiaoyun was very worried at the moment, sitting on the carriage with a worried expression, as if she had experienced something. "Miss, do you think third young master will tell the other people in the Lu mansion when he goes back?" "The people in the Lu mansion will definitely not know what kind of eyes they are looking at Mississippi." As the carriage was about to return to the Lu mansion, Xiaoyun couldn't help but ask Jiang Yunshang about his worries. "We do what we do, regardless of what others' eyes do." Jiang Yunshang replied indifferently, knowing that Lu Mingqian would never do that. It would make the Lu family so embarrassed. Isn't it his reputation that he upholds? "Sister-in-law, you have finally returned. I have been waiting for you here for a long time." When Jiang Yunshang returned, as soon as he arrived at the door, he met Xiang Bingyan with a maid waiting at his doorstep. "Is my younger brother or sister looking for me for something?" Jiang Yunshang asked lightly as she seemed a bit flustered. "I went back to my mother's house this morning and heard my younger brother say there are rumors in the palace that there must be a conclusion about the relationship between father and Xianggong. He said that even if the Lu family's contribution is indispensable, father and Xianggong will not be beheaded, and they are afraid of being exiled." Xiang Bingyan had a worried expression on her face, but as she spoke, she rubbed her handkerchiefs with both hands, looking very nervous. "What did those two siblings come to me for? They probably just wanted to tell me this news, right?" Jiang Yunshang appeared particularly calm, just casually asking this question again. "I want to explore them and see if the situation is not as good as what's being reported outside." He frowned and replied to Bing Yen. "Then go take a look. You can discuss these with your mother, there's no need to ask me." Jiang Yunshang guessed that she must have come for another purpose, but she didn't ask and only said that there was no need to talk to her about these things. "No, it's necessary to manage up and down in order to enter the prison. I told my mother that she doesn't have any silver in her hands. She went to the store this morning to pick up the silver, but they said the store has been running low recently and there is no cash available." Xiang Bingyan only then explained her intention. It turned out that she didn't want to tell her about this matter, but just wanted her to help with cash flow. "The marriage between my younger siblings and my second younger brother is similar to before and after. As you are at home, your younger sibling's dowry should be quite substantial. You can't afford to do this little trick, can you?" Upon hearing her words, Jiang Yunshang smiled. They all got married around the same time. Although Jiang Yunshang is the daughter of the largest merchant, Xiang Bingyan is also the daughter of an official family, and her uncle is still the current national teacher. It's impossible for her to marry into the Lu family with her bare hands, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Who Sorry Who? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Who Sorry Who? To be honest with my sister. In law, I did have some dowry when I got married, but when my father and my husband were arrested, in order to make them suffer less, I had already taken all the dowry and even exchanged my jewelry for cash as a gift. If it weren't for my tight financial situation, I wouldn't have bothered you, sister. In law. After all, we are both suffering, and I know sister. In law must be suffering. If there is a way, how dare I disturb you? Xiang Bingyan lowered her head, but her words were particularly sincere. Unfortunately, I'm also quite tight-handed now. Jiang Yunshang didn't give her money, so she pushed it over with her own tight fists. Upon hearing Jiang Yunshang's words, Xiang Bingyan let out a slight sigh, but stopped talking and turned around intending to leave. Why don't you go back to your mother's house and find them to help you? As Xiang Bingyan was about to turn around and leave, Jiang Yunshang suddenly asked from behind. My sister-in-law is not aware of this. Nowadays, the Lu family is quite sensitive and no one dares to help. My mother's family is already in a special situation, so we should be more cautious. Even when I go back, they have to be cautious and dare not help me too much. After a deep sigh to Bingyan, she replied like this. Jiang Yunshang just smiled and didn't say anything. She was only talking about the money issue, and didn't say what to ask her family to help with for the Lu family. Why is sister-in-law laughing? Is it a joke about the younger sister's family not being effective? Xiang Bingyan looked at Jiang Yunshang, who was only smiling but not speaking, and instead asked in this way. Don't think that way, younger siblings. I don't mean that. Jiang Yunshang quickly explained and glanced at her at the same time. He said, there's no need for my younger siblings to worry about my father's and my younger brother's affairs. It's better for you to take care of the baby with peace of mind. Their affairs will be taken care of by someone else. I also want to have a baby with peace of mind, but my husband is currently in prison and is likely to be exiled. How can you make me feel at ease? Xiang Bingyan was about to cry when she heard her words, but she didn't realize how cruel it was for her to say these words to Jiang Yunshang. Her husband is still in prison and may be exiled, but as for Jiang Yunshang, she has no hope. What did she say? Then don't worry, Jiang Yunshang originally comforted her with a few words, asking her to rest well and not worry too much. But she doesn't know what to do, so she keeps mentioning some annoying things here. This made Jiang Yunshang speak without any hesitation. However, after Jiang Yunshang finished speaking, he soon realized that he had said something. Seeing her surprised gaze, she comforted her again and said, I mean you don't need to take this silver anymore, after all, the affairs of the Lu family are not ordinary. Even if you take the silver as a reward, you won't be able to see it. However, the information you have received is somewhat untrue. The matter with the Lu family has not been decided yet, it's because you are too worried. I also hope that I have thought too much, but at least my family members are also in court and my uncle is a national teacher. How could the news be false? Xiang Bingyan said suspiciously after hearing Jiang Yunshang's words. Jiang Yunshang didn't argue with her, just shook his head helplessly. If my younger siblings don't believe me, I can't do it either. Just go back and wait for the news. If it's really like what you said, it's not too late for you to visit again. It's not urgent today. When he said these words, Jiang Yunshang actually took out 100 taels of silver notes and gave them to her. I will pay for this silver for you on your own. If you don't believe it, you can visit the prison as you please. However, if you reward the prison with 100 taels of silver, it may be difficult to make a splash. When she picked up the silver ticket, Jiang Yunshang reminded her a few more words. She had already been to the prison before, and knew that giving a reward there was a bottomless pit, where even a little silver would not be taken seriously. Xiang Bingyan didn't speak, but her face was very unpleasant when she left. Miss, I see that these two young ladies are very unhappy. Xiaoyun stood beside her all the time, watching their conversation and performance vividly. When Xiang Bingyan left, she worried and reminded Jiang Yunshang. Have you ever seen someone who would be happy to be imprisoned? Let her go. Jiang Yunshang, however, did not take it seriously and instead advised Xiaoyun in this way. Xiaoyun, prepare some water for me. I need to take a shower and rest. After chatting with Xiaoyun for a few words, Jiang Yunshang felt drowsy and ordered her to fetch water. After Xiaoyun left, she flipped through some accounts again, but was really tired and couldn't bear it, so she lay down on the table and fell asleep. But as soon as she fell asleep, someone pushed the door in and she immediately woke up, feeling that the person was only approaching her. Who? Jiang Yunshang looked up vigilantly and handed a long sword to her neck. Looking along, I saw that it was Lu Mingqian. "Third brother, why are you here so late?" Seeing that it was Lu Mingqian, Jiang Yunshang didn't panic much. He just smiled faintly and pushed his sword away. "What do you mean? As the daughter-in-law of the Lu family, you deserve to do such a thing." Lu Mingqian once again pointed his sword at Jiang Yunshang, but he angrily asked this question. After all, he stopped because he didn't seem to know who she was sorry for. "Who am I sorry for?" Jiang Yunshang sneered and looked at Lu Mingqian, ignoring his sword pointing at her, but took a step forward directly. Lu Mingqian didn't dare to really stab her, and even took a step back as she approached. "I don't think what I'm doing is clean. Why don't you do something by yourself to see? As I said, it's all arranged by my mother. If you're not satisfied, you can ask her." Jiang Yunshang walked forward while speaking, until he pushed Lu Mingqian step by step towards the outside. "If you don't have much ability, don't act recklessly outside. Don't cause any trouble, and others will have to clean up the mess for you." Jiang Yunshang's words directly alarmed Lu Mingqian. Holding the sword, I feel at a loss. He already knew all the truth, because he was also reborn, but it was a bit untimely. He had hoped to be ahead and stop Jiang Yunshang, but he didn't expect everything to be too late. Because everything was out of sync with her past life, Jiang Yunshang didn't go on the day she was supposed to go find Feng Yi. Instead, she went on a new day, which disrupted the timeline and made him a bit flustered. "You don't need to intervene in the matter of your father and second brother in the future." After a while, Lu Mingqian put away his sword and said this coldly to Jiang Yunshang. "Okay, I really have to take action, but it's best if you can persuade your mother to find someone else to do these things." Jiang Yunshang smiled nonchalantly. As Lu Mingqian, even if he had this kind of mindset, would Mrs. Lu listen to him? When he went out to the court, he didn't have this network to help him solve the problem. Although he used some cleverness and established some social connections, he was not a powerful person. Although as the third young master of the Lu family, some important officials in the court would not refuse to meet him, no one would help him with anything. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Is really unethical. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 is really unethical. Do you know him? Lu Mingqian was so angry that he didn't just want to say anything, but he stopped talking. At this moment, Xiaoyun, who had gone to boil water, also returned. As soon as he entered the door and saw Lu Mingqian in Jiang Yunshang's room, he was momentarily stunned. Third young master. Xiaoyun looked at Lu Mingqian in a daze for a while before shouting, almost throwing a bucket of water on his hand. When Lu Mingqian saw Xiaoyun come in, he swallowed back all the words that had been on his lips. "Anyway, be more careful yourself. He's not a good person." Finally, Lu Mingqian left with such a sentence and quickly turned around to leave. Xiaoyun was completely puzzled. After bringing the water over, he asked Jiang Yunshang in confusion, "Miss, why is third young master here again? He just said who is not a good person." "Feng Yi." Jiang Yunshang smiled faintly and returned to Xiaoyun's words. But as soon as Xiaoyun heard what she said, she was scared to death. "Miss, you can't say these words recklessly, it will get your head off." Jiang Yunshang didn't pay much attention to Xiaoyun's warning, smiled lightly, and got up to take a shower. These times are all busy, she doesn't have time to pay attention to these idle people who don't want to do anything. "Is the young lady in the room? What's going on? The soup sent to her has arrived." The next morning, early in the morning, Jiang Yunshang was still in bed and stopped outside the door with a conversation between the maid of the Lu family and Xiaoyun. "It said that soup has been brought to her, but I don't know what kind of soup to bring this early in the morning." However, Jiang Yunshang quickly got up, tidied up her clothes, and prepared to go and see what she did. "Miss, a maid brought a bowl of soup and dim sum for you." Sure enough, Xiaoyun put away the things and Jiang Yunshang got into bed, so she brought them to her. What soup, what dim sum? Who sent it so early? Jiang Yunshang didn't go to pick up the things that Xiao Yun handed her, just asked who brought them over. When asking questions, I went to wash up first. However, Xiao Yun didn't even ask the maid who asked her to bring it. I only know that this maid is a kitchen maid. Show me what dim sum is. Jiang Yunshang didn't care, after all, her breakfast was indeed delivered by the kitchen every day according to the time. But it was delivered a little earlier today, and I also added a soup. On weekdays, she usually asks them to send some dim sum and add a bowl of congee. Xiao Yun saw that the dim sum was still your favorite red date peanut cake, but the soup looked dark and not good at all. Xiao Yun only introduced Jiang Yunshang to this morning's breakfast after she finished washing up. Well, take the dim sum and forget about the soup. Jiang Yunshang heard Xiao Yun say it was a black soup and guessed what kind of tonic soup it should be. She didn't really like the messy soup, so she asked Xiao Yun not to bring it over. But after eating 2 cakes, she felt that today's cake was a bit dry, so she suggested that Xiao Yun bring the soup and take a sip. What kind of soup is this? But when Jiang Yunshang brought it over, he only smelled it briefly and immediately realized that it was not right. This soup has a strong medicinal taste, and it's not a tonic. The most obvious thing is that it contains safflower. Is this a bowl of avocado soup? Jiang Yunshang placed the bowl on the table. Xiao Yun next to her didn't quite understand and looked at her with a surprised expression, asking, "What does this mean? Who made this soup for you, Mississippi? Take it and pour it." Jiang Yunshang didn't speculate who prepared it, but let Xiao Yun take it. "I really didn't expect them to insult you so much, Mississippi. Even though I knew my uncle was gone, I prepared such soup for you. Isn't that intentionally stimulating you?" Xiao Yun poured out the soup, but while she was working on the side, her mouth was not idle and she kept chattering away. "What are you doing? You actually poured this soup." Just as Xiao Yun was pouring out the bowl of soup, Lu Mingqian suddenly jumped out from outside and reached out to stop her. "So this soup was prepared by you, third young master. Who is so wicked to prepare such a thing for Mississippi?" Xiao Yun couldn't say how angry he was when he saw that it was Lu Mingqian again. For some reason, these past few days she has been feeling like Lu Mingqian is always looking for trouble with Jiang Yunshang, whether he's busy or not. "It's for her good," Lu Mingqian coldly defended. But as soon as he spoke, Xiao Yun took him over for training. "Thank you, my young lady doesn't need you to be so kind to her. She has been weak since childhood and has learned some medical skills. She knows whether to take medicine or not, and she knows what kind of medicine to take." Xiao Yun really doesn't understand. He inexplicably gave Jiang Yunshang a bowl of avocado soup. How could he treat her well? Don't he know that his big brother is dead? That's not right either. Although his elder brother hasn't died, for the Lu family in Jiang Yunshang, it means he's dead. In short, sending such a bowl of soup to her in Jiang Yunshang's current identity is indeed an insult to her. However, Lu Mingqian didn't say much to her and instead rushed into the house to find Jiang Yunshang. Just this time, Jiang Yunshang didn't give him any good looks. As soon as he entered the room, Jiang Yunshang said with a cold face, "Third brother, just do your own job well. I know how to solve my problem myself." Jiang Yunshang's sudden words left Lu Mingqian at a loss for an answer. "Xiao Yun, I still had some accounts unclear yesterday and need to go out. Please accompany me on a walk." Jiang Yunshang took a sip of tea, called Xiao Yun, and prepared to go out. But Lu Mingqian, like before on the street, took a step forward and stopped her. Jiang Yunshang didn't say anything, just gave him a quiet glance. But in the end, Lu Mingqian still made way for himself. "Miss, where are we going today? What's wrong with third young master lately? Why does he always find you unhappy?" As soon as he left, Xiao Yun kept asking Jiang Yunshang questions, but she didn't answer them. Xiao Yun then popped out the second and third questions one by one. "I don't know. Xiao Yun was a bit annoyed when asked, and I didn't know which one answered her well. In the end, Jiang Yunshang only replied with these 3 words. Ah. Xiao Yun originally didn't understand her answer and wanted to ask further questions, but he found that someone in front of them was blocking them. Second young master, how could you come? Xiao Yun immediately recognized that the person blocking them was the second young master of the Jiang family, who was also Jiang Yunshang's second brother. When it comes to the Jiang family, the most important thing is that his relationship with Jiang Yunshang is not good. I don't know why I suddenly ran to the Lu family to find Jiang Yunshang today. What's up? Jiang Yunshang didn't really like this second brother Jiang Guangjin, especially today when she was still leading someone. It didn't seem like a good thing. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Whose words are worse to listen to? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Whose words are worse to listen to? Madam Lu, don't blame young Master Jiang for coming with me. The person who followed Jiang Guangjin was Lin Miaomiao. Jiang Yunshang didn't expect that Lin Miaomiao didn't plead with her and instead ran to her mother's house. Miss Lin is quite skilled. Knowing that it was for Lin Miaomiao's business, Jiang Yunshang didn't have a good tone anymore. She doesn't have much memory of Lin Miaomiao in her past life, because after Lin Miaomiao begged her, she really told Feng Yi about Lin Miaomiao's request. As a result, I don't know how she angered Feng Yi. Later, the entire Lin family was sent to serve as slaves, but she was sent to the Phoenix Tower. After arriving there, it goes without saying that she never had a bright future and became a courtesan who could only be cared for. Originally, Jiang Yunshang did not want to harm innocent people, so she did not fulfill her request in this life. I want to give her a way out so that she can at least live an ordinary life. Unexpectedly, she was so uninterested that she couldn't get her consent in front of Feng Yi Mansion. She even found the Jiang family and wanted to use her family affection to help Jiang Yunshang. How can I not understand what Madame Lu said? It's all for the sake of her family. Isn't Madame Lu trying her best to find a way? Isn't Madame Lu using any methods too extreme? Is it just a trick to come to me? Lin Miaomiao's mouth is quite powerful, but she even compared herself to Jiang Yunshang. Seeing her like this, Jiang Yunshang didn't say much, just smiled slightly. She nodded and said, Miss Lin should go and beg the person you should ask for, not disturb me. Upon hearing Madame Lu's words, she refused to help me. Lin Miaomiao immediately followed suit and asked a question. To be honest, her tone of voice was particularly uncomfortable to listen to, and there was no hint of pleading. It's not that I'm unwilling to help, it's that I'm already someone who needs someone to ask for help. How could I have the ability to help Miss Lin? Jiang Yunshang gave Lin Miaomiao enough courtesy, and every word she said was heartfelt. But Lin Miaomiao doesn't know what to do at all. She even thinks of herself as the former daughter of the Lin family, and her attitude towards Jiang Yunshang is particularly bad. Especially after Jiang Yunshang was rejected, she said with a strange tone, Madame Lu is not afraid of giving me a recommendation. If I steal your charm, others will ignore you, right? Look at what Miss Lin said, I'm afraid that if the recommendation is not good, it will cause trouble for you, Miss Lin. After all, I haven't done such a thing before, and it's not as good as the mother of Fengxian Tower. Since she speaks well and treats her politely without receiving a good word from her, she doesn't need to be so polite to her. Jiang Yunshang, do you know what you're talking about? I know I'm an illegitimate son, and I won't receive your respect in the Jiang family. You can just insult me one by one. But Miss Lin is from an official family, how can you be so rude to her? Unexpectedly, Jiang Yunshang's words angered Lin Miaomiao, but they angered Jiang Guangjin. He spoke in a tone even more excited than Lin Miaomiao, and instead scolded Jiang Yunshang. The sudden outburst of Jiang Guangjin's temper made even Xiao Yun next to him unable to listen. Angry, he said, Second young master, what you said is really inappropriate. Although you did encounter some rejection in the Jiang family, the young lady has always treated you well. When other people in the Jiang family bullied you, it was always the young lady who stood up for you. You really don't know what to say now, young lady. Xiaoyun was angry, but he just scolded Jiang Guangjin for not being convinced by Jiang Yunshang. Xiaoyun, come here. But Jiang Yunshang called Xiaoyun over first, and then said to Jiang Guangjin, you also know that you are the son of a commoner, and you also know that she is a wealthy official. Do you know why she came to you? Listen to her arrogant and unreasonable words yourself. I, the young lady of the Lu family, am not in her eyes, let alone your illegitimate son. Since everything had been said so much, Jiang Yunshang might as well speak more clearly. Let Jiang Guangjin know that it wasn't because he attracted Lin Miaomiao in any way, but because she is now in a state of decline and inferior to others, she will find a reliable way to climb. Today, I will climb Jiang Guangyin and ask for her help. Tomorrow, if I climb a better one, I will naturally kick Jiang Guangjin. Miss Lin didn't ask you much help. She just wanted you to help recommend her. If you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, just say it directly. That's why you have to say it so harshly. Jiang Guangjin still finds what Jiang Yunshang said unpleasant. Upon hearing him say so, Jiang Yunshang sneered out loud. I don't speak well. Then she does speak well. Just listen to her, why come to me to beg for pleasure? It's okay if there's not a hint of begging for help, but Jiang Guangjin actually feels that Jiang Yunshang is not being polite enough to others. Miao Miao said that as long as this matter is done well, she will marry me. I think you are afraid that if I marry Miao Miao, I will have the opportunity to enter the officialdom and have a future that will surpass the others in the Jiang family, right? I didn't expect Jiang Guangjin to ignore them when he saw Jiang Yunshang and say such a thing. As he spoke, Lin Miaomiao beside him clearly showed a guilty expression. Obviously, Lin Miaomiao didn't expect him to say these words to Jiang Yunshang. Entering the officialdom, the future surpasses the rest of the Jiang family. Jiang Yunshang repeated these words while looking up at Lin Miaomiao behind him. With a sneer, he asked, are you afraid you haven't even figured out what she's asking me to do? Upon hearing these words, Jiang Yunshang knew that during these days, Jiang Guangjin probably only knew about extravagance and alcohol, and knew nothing about the news outside. No wonder, after all, they have only been in business and know very little about the officialdom. Then I'll tell you, she. Jiang Yunshang was about to tell Jiang Guangjin about this, but to her surprise, Lin Miaomiao rushed to say it herself. That's right, I came to ask her about the Lin family, Lin Miaomiao answered first, but she didn't explain what it was. Yes, she came for her family because her father was involved in corruption and had already committed household theft. All the servants were scattered, and men were imprisoned and waiting for exile. Women would also be sent to other households as slaves or sent to places such as Fengxian Tower in the future. So now her identity may not be as good as yours, the illegitimate son, but her arrogance is much heavier than yours. Jiang Yunshang only told him all the truth when he saw Jiang Guangjin looking completely clueless. Upon hearing her words, Jiang Guangjin was clearly quite surprised, but when he turned his head and saw the pitiful Lin Miaomiao beside him, he ignored everything. He said to Jiang Yunshang again, even so, so what? She used to be a high-ranking official daughter, and from now on, I will protect her, all of whom are noble daughters. End of this chapter.